Hi, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. This will be TaxDome 2025 updates. I'm Hector Garcia. I'm a CPA, and I implemented TaxDome back in 2020, and it completely changed our tax firm. Carlos, who is a certified TaxDome consultant, also happens to be my brother, and I also happen to be the very first client from like 4 or 5 years ago. He's basically shifted his entire practice to helping people implement TaxDome, and he's been immensely successful at it. My colleagues that implement TaxDome with Carlos have been very, very happy and excited with the work. So naturally, I'm going to come to you and show you all about TaxDome and have Carlos kind of show you everything he knows about TaxDome so you get excited about it. So let's talk about what is TaxDome. So TaxDome, in essence, is a practice management software. It started as a very, very focused software for tax practices, but it's actually become a very, very focused practice management software for tax, accounting, and bookkeeping practices. And we've actually seen folks from outside accounting using TaxDome to manage their clients and their workflow. Carlos, let's go into the TaxDome website, and maybe you can walk us through what TaxDome is from the perspective of their website.
Sure. So, hi everybody, Carlos here. So one of the main things you want to know is that TaxDome is an all-in-one practice management tool for any firm owner in the accounting, bookkeeping, or tax space. Even though it's called TaxDome, it is built so that you can basically take care of all the things internally in your firm when it comes to workflow management, project management, but also client interactions when you want them to send you documents in a secure fashion, to do secure client communication, to be able to send and receive electronic signatures, and you can automate that experience for your client. What you will see right in front of you, as it shows in the website, is that it not only does it just serve as an opportunity to have a CRM, but you can also automate workflows. You can do your time and billing. There's an opportunity to actually collect electronic signatures using KBA as well, which is the additional layer of security. And there is a mobile app for firm customers to be able to log into securely, where they can scan and upload documents, which is one of the features that we'll be showing you, in addition to other features that can help enhance the client experience. So Hector, let's go over some of the pricing for TaxDome in 2025. So starting January 6th, there will be 3 potential plans that are available for any practitioner based on some of their needs. So the first one is the solo plan, which the solo basically includes for $800 a year, an all-in-one platform for any individual that's running their own firm. CRM built in. There's going to be a new feature rolling out later this year for you to be able to have GL integration, so you can categorize bookkeeping transactions. That will be included as well. The automations and workflows and pipeline setup will be all available, along with a client portal app, web portal. Also via the mobile app, the client can access their client portal, sign their documents, upload their documents, pay their bills. You'll have the ability to do communication through secure chat, automated emails, or SMS texting, which is for a separate fee, but it will be available as a feature. You can also send proposals and engagement letters electronically for the client to sign and collect payments using one of their merchant partners, along with leveraging organizers, intake forms, unlimited document storage, e-signatures at no extra cost, and access to their live learning sessions through boot camps and webinars. And initially, if the clients need to import client data into TaxDome from wherever they're coming from, whether it's another platform or a spreadsheet or a tax software, whatever that may be, they can get assistance with getting that data properly imported with essential support up from a 24-hour response time, and as well as the TaxDome Academy, which is a self-paced educational system to learn more of the TaxDome features in depth. Now, for someone who is a firm practitioner and they have need multiple licenses, they can actually leverage the Pro plan. And the Pro plan is $1,000 per year per user, which will have all of the same features as the solo plan. And it will also give them the real-time chat and collaboration tools, leveraging the AI-driven analytics, so you can actually use reporting to understand efficiency and how much time, if you're doing time tracking in your firm, you can some of that and see how you can help optimize some of the firm's productivity. And then you can also get better organized using the TaxDome AI feature, which actually clients who randomly upload documents sometimes don't label those documents. The AI feature can actually interpret what that is and automatically change the name of the files for you, so you can better understand what kind of documents are being uploaded. And that's a huge game-changing feature. Again, you can manage team workloads effectively and optimize capacity. You have access to modifying team roles, so who has access to what accounts and what other capabilities your specific team members will have access to, and what permissions you don't want to give them. And there's going to be a new feature also called Activity Feed, which helps you know the activities that your clients and your team members are doing. So if they're doing specific things inside of the workflow and you need to kind of understand, hey, who touched this? You can go back to the activity, get a better sense of context and understanding who's working on what. And then there's also an added feature not a lot of people take advantage of, which is a third party inside of TaxDome, their custom domain and website editor. So if you're a firm owner and you don't necessarily have a website, you can actually leverage this at no additional cost. And the average response time for the Pro plan is 12 hours. And then the last option is the TaxDome for Business plan, which is going to be $1,200 per user per year. And this will have a more dedicated client care support. They will have biannual business reviews, in addition to all the features presented in the Pro and the Solo plan. A dedicated customer success manager, unlimited team chat history, so that you as the firm owner and leader want to understand what's happening. They will have kind of a Slack type of feature inside of Tax where people can actually chat internally. Clients won't see what's going on, but you can actually understand how to navigate and collaborate better inside of TaxDome itself. That's going to be very cool. And then access to the activity feed for up to a year back. And if you're leveraging more advanced QuickBooks kind of software, you will have the ability to do higher levels of upload. And the premium support for large firms will actually have a 6-hour response time. So it's a more dedicated support. Now, you see me that the document has moved around a little bit. That's because you can actually commit to a longer commitment with TaxDome. So if you use the 2-year plan, you can have additional savings as a firm owner, and you can commit up to 3 years. And if you do so, TaxDome will actually give you the lowest cost investment here for you to sign up and enroll with TaxDome for each license that you have here. Hector, would you add anything that
one thing I want to add about pricing is out of all the software that I use across my firm, we have all sorts of software, Microsoft, Intuit, QuickBooks, third-party tools. TaxDome is among the biggest of the investments. I mean, I will say that up front, right? So the average of $80, $85 per user, whatever you're paying, it's going to be up there. But remember, this is a full practice management software. This takes care of so much of your workflow. And I would venture to say that we probably have one less employee in the admin side because of this. And we could probably even say 2 less employees, or we have employees, our team is 20, 30% more productive. And you're going to see why. This is not like, us trying to sell you the software. You're going to understand that once you actually see the live software. But this is an investment, like Carlos says, an investment that pays for itself. Especially if you're coming from no practice management software, this will be night and day for you. If you're coming from other practice management software, I think it's important for you to look at, all the different versions and, what do you get more for this if this happens to be more, or what do you get less if it happens to be less of what you have now. But this investment pays for itself within months of you implementing.
Yeah, one of the things I like to share as for an observation, Hector, in having implemented over 50 firms, is that a lot of people suffer from SOS, shiny object syndrome, where they find a new app and they find a new technology and they feel like it's going to solve one specific pain point and they sign up to that thing. And then they find another pain point then they sign up to the other thing, and they find another pain point inside the practice, and they sign up to the third thing. So a lot of people start stacking up their tech stack, if you will, and they're paying all of this money and maybe using 10, 20, 30% of each of the features in those. And it could be painful and it could be gruesome. And it's just a lot of people switching between a lot of apps, doing all of these different things. Where the good side of using TaxDome is that it pretty much solves almost every need that a tax, bookkeeping, or accounting practitioner has, because they're constantly reinvesting almost 60% of their gains back into product development. So this is a software that is continuing to evolve. And the exciting part about it is later today, we're going to talk about a brand new exciting feature that's going to be dropping in 2025. That's going to be a game changer, especially if you're a bookkeeper or you offer bookkeeping services. But I won't spoil any more of what we'll talk about. Stay tuned for more of that. Another thing that I want to call out that TaxDome has is a lot of integrations. So if you are a tax practitioner and you have tax software, you want to be able to print directly from your tax software onto the TaxDome virtual drive, you can. It does have that virtual printer capability. So when you actually click print from your tax software, it'll actually populate kind of like the way Dropbox does a virtual drive on your file explorer on your computer, and you can directly put it in your clients folder from your tax software. So a lot of people don't realize how much that saves them time, and it makes their ability to organize data easier and faster. Same goes if you have a bookkeeping software or your accounting software through QuickBooks, you want to export a P&L, a balance sheet, whatever, monthly reports, you can do that directly from your computer by clicking print, and a TaxDome virtual printer will populate. Well, it'll show up the client's drive, and it'll show up both on the cloud for TaxDome and in your virtual drive. So that's really good. And in addition to that integration, there's also direct integration with QuickBooks. So if you are going to decide to do billing through TaxDome, that data for your own internal bookkeeping and accounting can actually feed it back into QuickBooks. It'll give you instructions how to do that. And it also, if you have like a scheduling app like Calendly or another scheduling app that you want to be able to add to enhance the client experience, you can integrate that so that your clients can book appointments with you from inside of their client portal. That's some of the integrations that I love the most from TaxDome.
Okay, so let's go back to the table of contents and just kind of walk through really quick all the demonstrations that we're going to do in TaxDome. So Carlos is going to showcase the organizer, often known in the tax world as the client organizer. We'll talk about proposals, engagement letters, chat. This is both chat between team members and chat with your clients. The concept of scanning documents and uploading documents, which you could do through the mobile app, receiving payments through TaxDome, and all the client-facing status. So like updating your client on what's going on with the tax return or the monthly bookkeeping or the report, that whatever engagement you have with your client, the status of that work and the final delivery of the work. So let's go straight into the client organizer.
Okay, great. So one of the things that we want to talk about that's helpful for firm owners is first understanding from a firm view. This is what your TaxDome will traditionally look like. You're usually going to have your menu in the center. It usually starts, if you're the firm owner, at an insights page where it gives you just all data around specific tasks, like what do you have ready to go that may be overdue, tasks that are assigned to you, and it gives you some insights that you can also look into around specific jobs, which are the projects that you're working on, and jobs are the specific service that is being completed during a specific period of time. So if you're doing a 2023 tax return, or if you're doing a July monthly close, or if you're doing sales tax for a specific quarter, all those things would be categorized as jobs. And pipelines are the infrastructure of the workflows that you're building, and the tasks are the specific actions that you or a team member inside your firm are actually completing in order to help bring the job to fruition, to completion, and move it across the pipeline visually. We'll show you this a little bit later, but just want to make sure that you understand what the insights page allows you to do so that you can better manage your day and have a bird's eye view of the activity. In the left toolbar, you also have a bunch of other menus that you can access. An inbox plus are sort of like a notifications page that will tell you whatever client activity or internal firm activity that you're going through. Your client list is essentially your CRM, where you can access all of the clients that are inside of your TaxDome, and you can sort them and you can filter them, you can select them, and you can do multiple types of actions on there, like one of them being sending an organizer. So let's say if I wanted every single client in my entire firm to be able to fill out a specific organizer, I can do that in one single selection. Now you can do a lot of bulk actions as well, or you can do an individual action. And what we're doing right now for the benefit of the presentation is we're first going to explore the new button that you see right here on the top in green. The new button allows you to do that individual action when you want to interact with a specific client. So one of the things that I recently read as a survey that was completed with over 1,000 practitioners is that 61% of clients do appreciate having intake forms that gather essential information up front. So if you're thinking about providing a particular service to a new client or a potential client, or you're onboarding a client, or you're taking them through a service that you're going to provide for them, sending them an organizer is actually going to enhance their experience. And what you want to do in this scenario is you want to obviously select the client before you send the organizer, and then you pick what is the kind of organizer that you want to send them. In this scenario, we're going to pretend, Hector, that we're going to actually do a 1040 returning client questionnaire, which is something that happens, fairly common when you're bringing a client back into the next tax year, or you're bringing them into a new tax year. And so what I'm going to actually do now is I'm going to feature the mobile app and how the client would actually receive this. So on your smartphone, you'll be able to find your TaxDome client portal. And what the client will be able to do is, from the convenience of their specific phone, they can log in securely to be able to access any information, which they could get notified via email, and they could also get notifications via their mobile app. And if you have a client that has more than one relationship with you, whether it's a business relationship and their family or their personal relationship, you can create separate profiles for them. In this scenario, we ended up sending an organizer to the customer, Carlos Garcia demo. And you'll see that here was the specific questionnaire that was recently sent. And what it is, it's the nice thing about the questionnaire and the organizers that these are smart organizers, and TaxDome has a tremendous amount of templates that are already free available to you that you can leverage. This was actually one that I leveraged from their free template. It's a returning client questionnaire, what actually says this is a smart organizer. It actually even encourages the client to download the mobile app if they want. They can fill out their name. Then once they fill out all the specific sections, it'll go into specific things that are going on, that happen in their year. In this scenario, this is a returning client questionnaire, meaning that they're already an existing tax client and you're just asking yes or no questions around specific changes that happen. If they answer yes to something, it's a condition, which means in the condition that they answer yes, then a new thing will populate, a new prompt will populate, whether it's to upload a document or to provide that new information. If they say no, nothing happens. So in essence, the client can have the convenience of filling out the organizer from their phone, which makes the experience easier for you and for your clients to be able to get the information that you need back faster. And as you can see there below, if they answer yes, it will require them to upload a specific document or upload the specific information. And once they submit the actual organizer, then you're ready to go, and we'll go back into the TaxDome as a firm owner. You will actually get a notification sharing with you that the client has actually completed their organizer. So as you can see in my inbox plus, I just received a notification that the organizer was completed. Now, if we were to go into the templates section of TaxDome, you can actually go into where it says firm templates, and here is where you have access to all of the specific items that you can send to the client and you can customize so that you can make the experience unique to the way that your firm is set up. So this same exact questionnaire that the client filled out via the mobile app, is the one that I'm showing you as behind the scenes. Here is where you can modify and change the types of questions. You can change all types of questions that you can ask. They could be yes, no, radio button questions. They could be specific text data information like text entry. You can request a specific email. It can only be sent back to you in an email format. If you're looking for a phone number or a specific number, so you can customize how you want that data to be inputted by the client in the organizer. And it's extremely flexible in terms of making it very customizable and easy for you and your clients to be able to complete these so you can get the data faster and easier. The next feature that I want to walk you through is how you would send an engagement letter to a client. Again, you can all build this into a workflow itself, which I'm jumping a little bit forward of what a workflow is. But in essence, a workflow allows you to build a system where you can build an experience for the client internally as a firm owner. You can design your stages where you can keep track of where your client is at during the process of engaging with them. So if a client, you're just bringing them into the workflow, you can have some initial communication in which you can build automations, automated actions that would be sent from your firm to the client, such as sending a proposal, sending them a welcome email. You can even make conditions based on how they are tagged. So if your client is tagged a new client, they will get a specific new client communication. If they are tagged as a returning client, they will get a different type of communication. So if I wanted to add my client to the workflow so that everything gets automated and I don't have to go through the process of having to manually send them one thing at a time as we move along into the engagement, I can easily just add the client as a job onto my workflow, which then gives me this job status and kind of gives me an overview of everything that is happening in this specific job about the client. And if I just look at the job card right here, this client actually just received an engagement letter. What we're actually going to do is we're going to explore now again through the mobile app how automating this workflow will make the experience for the client. So I'm going to go ahead and share my app again. Now, if you notice, I have now an engagement letter pending as part of the automation. Of course, as you can see, this is a template. This is a template that can actually be updated inside of the template editing section. But in essence, what this does for me, it gives me an introduction. You can create an introduction letter when you're welcoming someone into TaxDome. And then this is where you would insert all of your terms. And the client can actually read the engagement letter from their mobile app. And if they want to sign it because they are on the go, they can go ahead and insert their signature, whatever that would look like, click on accept terms, and then you're ready to go. And that's how easy it is for the client to be able to sign an engagement letter from their mobile app. You can also do this.
I want to ask you, in your experience, do people also put the pricing in there, or is that a separate thing? Is that more like the proposal side?
So that would be more if you're looking to onboard a client, if the pricing conversations typically had before they engage back into tax season. Some firm owners send the new pricing inside of the email communication, and the engagement letter is just standard terms. Some of it could include pricing, some of it may not. Some clients have custom pricing for different clients, so they try to give them just a standard contract and they separately communicate what the pricing looks like. Now, if you notice, because I signed the engagement letter, I'm just clicking on refresh on my workflow. What you'll notice is that the actual job moves on to the next stage once the client has completed that specific action. So you see that because I signed the engagement letter as the client, you saw that it now moved into the next step. So you, the firm owner, can keep track of what's happening throughout the process while TaxDome is taking care of everything for you, right? They're doing the work for you. And that's the magic of using a all-in-one practice management tool like TaxDome, so that it saves you the time of having to manually follow up on them signing an engagement letter, following up on them getting the documents for you. And then as some of these things happen, you can also pre-assign tasks to the specific team members or yourself to complete whatever needs to happen next, whether it's once they complete the organizer, you need to collect a set of documents. And this can be equally built for bookkeeping workflows, for sales tax, for payroll, and any other specific workflows that would make sense. Let's just say that we're here waiting for the organizer and the client hasn't done anything. So what I want to do is I want to try to communicate with the client via the internal chat. So I can actually click on the job and click on the client's profile. There are several ways I can find the client's profile. I can also search it right here and type their name, and that could be found in the universal search box. And then I can also go to the client's menu here where it says accounts, and I could search the client here. So there are 3 ways you can locate your client if you want to communicate with them. My universal search box is my favorite place to do it. When that happens, from the firm view, you can actually see all of the things that are on this top menu as an overview in the first page. So everything that you see here is just a mini overview of all of the top options. The information will give you what is some of the information you want to know about the client, what is their specific email that's connected to the actual account, because an account is a profile. A contact is the individual that has access to the profile. The profile has the client information, the documents, the communication, the engagement letters, the organizers. The contact is just a name, an email, and the personal information of the individual that we can either give access and we can let them know if they want to get notified about anything that's happening inside of TaxDome. And we can even sync the email to TaxDome, which if the firm owner syncs the email, you could actually see communication internally from TaxDome that is synced to your email server that is tied to your firm's login. So if I wanted to go into communication, there are actually 2 ways that TaxDome can communicate with the client. One is an internal secure chat. So I could say something like missing information. And I could say, hello, I'm missing your 1099 for 2024 for ABC Corp and W2 for XYZ. And then basically by being able to send this chat to my client, they will get a notification via email. They will get a notification in their app, which allows them to now go into their app and actually upload whatever is missing or securely write back whatever information you want. Why is this better than doing it via email? Well, as you know, emails can get lost in the shuffle. This, you can actually have specific threads that are relative to whatever it is you're working on for the client. So it's a little bit easier to manage. And I know, Hector, you and your firm, you guys leverage this feature in order to kind of keep track of what happened 2023 and what happened 2022. And that context just puts it in one-stop shop for you all to know what happens next.
One of the major hurdles we have is the client will call in the middle of the year and they would talk to John and tell John that they bought a house. And then for whatever reason, John wasn't working in September where we had to collect documents. And then Mary would request documents, but we wouldn't request for the new house. And John would say, what about the new house? And Mary would say, what about the new house? It was just crazy. So by doing the email sync and having all the team members have the email sync, you get one place where you actually see all of your firm communications that have happened via email with the clients. But even beyond that, we try to avoid any sort of official communications via email. When our clients email us, we take the email, we go into TaxDome, we paste it in the chat, and we say, here's a response to your email question, to like channel them to go back and using TaxDome, using the phone app. That way, nothing ever gets lost in the shuffle. That's it. The biggest challenge is when you have people messaging you through WhatsApp, through email, through text message, through Facebook, whatever, social media, and now TaxDome. The secret to success in this is try to keep all the communications in a single place.
Yeah. And one other feature that recently came out from TaxDome, and one of the things that I love about TaxDome is they have a robust help center. You just go to help.taxdome.com. It actually takes you to anything that you want to know about anything having to do with TaxDome. So if I wanted to know about how to set up my SMS text message, I could actually build that out, and there are videos that will teach you how to set it up. And the nice thing about it is that you can actually register your brand, your phone number via Twilio, And there are separate fees in order to do that if you want to do SMS, but I know a lot of firms, they operate really well by reminding clients how to do things via SMS. And I've known of many that have actually done it successfully. And you can actually integrate your communication if you want to send a text message, and you can see the text message that's sent back to you from your client. So it's a new feature that came out this year that a lot of people have been really, really excited about. Now let's move into documents. So the traditional way that TaxDome actually sets up for your firm to be able to upload documents and share documents with clients is what they traditionally do is they give you 3 types of folders with different permissions. The first one is this little stick figure with a little pencil next to it is where client can view and edit files. Typically, this is where your clients upload their own documents. If ever you have something new, you'll see a little new banner there, just so you know that the client uploaded a recent new document. Now, if you want to create a subfolder, you can create these little 3 dots, and you can actually do a new folder inside of the folder. So let's say you have 2023 and 2024, et cetera, et cetera. You can actually create subfolders under the master folder, if you will. The other thing that you can do with the folders, you can actually request files onto that specific folder. If you have like a third party type of, partner, like another accountant, an attorney, or someone else you want to request files from, but they have no portal access, you can go ahead and make that request via email, and that will allow them to be able to upload the documents without necessarily having to log in to the portal and without seeing any of the client's information. So that's very helpful. The second type of folder is a view only folder. And this is the one where the firm owner gets to share specific documents with the client. Now, in this folder is where you would upload something that you don't want the client to edit, you don't want them to change the name, and you don't want them to delete that file. That's kind of like the completed work. So imagine you uploading the month close for a specific bookkeeping service with a client, or your tax returns that were completely filed and the client copy. This is where you would actually upload that. The other function of a view only folder is that this is where you can actually request signatures from a client. So if you want the client to approve a document or e-sign a document, you would upload it into a folder that has a view only permission. Now, the default is you get a docs uploaded, you get a firm docs, and you get a private folder. Private folder is more working progress, things that firm members are working on, but they haven't completed. This is where you usually put your files, right? These are things that internal use only. But if you want to create your own folder, you can, and you can set whatever privacy you want for that folder. For many of you that might have a different type of structure, folder structure, or folder trees that have been built for years in your firm, you can do that. You can even set the default to be that way if you want. All that it is important to do at the beginning of setting up your firm. But by default, these are the 3 levels of permission that you can set for your firm. And each client will have their own folder for each of their specific profile. And you can go ahead and give them access to whatever it is you feel like they should have access, and you can move files around. And also, if you have a desktop app and you're logged into TaxDome via the cloud from the desktop app, you can create this virtual drive on your file explorer, whether it's your Mac or your Windows specific app. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually upload a document onto the client so that they can see it, and we're actually going to request a signature. So what I'm going to do here in the plus new button, you can actually select what is the action that you want to do for the client. But in this scenario, I'm actually going to upload a document. And we're going to go ahead and let's see if I think I have a sample tax return that we can request. And when I'm uploading the document, if I'm going to be requesting a signature, it has to be put into the firm docs share with client. Because I noticed that there isn't a 2024 folder, we're just going to pretend for a moment that it needs to be put in a 2024 folder, so I can quickly create my 2024 folder. And that's how easy it is for me to upload the document. Now, you'll notice that there are a couple of other things I can do on this document. 1 is I can request for the client to approve it. 2 is I can create reminders. I can spread it out over by day. So every day, every 2 days, every 3 days. and I can have up to 999 reminders. In this scenario, I'll use the default. What happens if I don't do anything with the document in the next 3 days? TaxDome will send an automated reminder because of it. I can also notify the client if I want, and I could create all of these other settings if I want. Now, if I have a specific job for this client, I can go to link job and I can figure out if this client part of a specific pipeline that I'm already doing, and I can link the document on the job. So what happens, it actually locks down the pipeline unless the client signs the document. So that's that's the magic of also connecting documents into your workflows, because it won't move on to the next stage unless the client signs the document. So I'm going to pretend for a moment that I'm going to lock it into this specific job. And so now by uploading that's the first step. I've uploaded the document. Now the second step of what I would need to do is would actually look for the firm doc shared with client. I'm going to go to the folder in which I did it, and you can see that there's a status saying that it's pending approval. So I have to do two things. As the client would have to approve the document, and then if I want them to sign it, I would actually go here and click on request signature. And then you've got a signature menu here where you can drag and drop where you would want the client to sign. If you want them to put a specific date, if you want them to put their specific initials, and then if you have a custom text box, you could do that as well, especially where you have places where you need them to put in their title, for example. So you can go ahead and send and request that. Now, another magic feature of this, which I know, Hector, you're very familiar with, and one of the reasons why you signed up to TaxDome is the ability to lock an invoice with a document.
Yeah, so to give you some background on that, what prompted me to get TaxDome when I was shopping for practice management software, we wanted one where we can upload the tax return and also upload an invoice. And the tax return wouldn't be available until the customer paid the invoice. So in order to reduce the friction of having to tell the client, hey, I can't show you the tax return until you pay me, I could always say, well, it's in the system and you have to pay it before you can see it. So essentially, that's how we did it. And we were very, very successful at not having accounts receivable, because basically our pipeline would work in such a way, and it still works like that. I don't do taxes anymore, but my partners that took over the tax firm, that was the most valuable thing for them to take over my tax firm, is they were not buying any clients with bad habits, any accounts receivable. Every single time a tax return is created, in order for it to move down the pipeline, it needs to be paid. Like the invoice needs to be paid. So to me, that's how TaxDome won me, plus all the other amazing things that it has. But to me, that was key. That was actually transformative for my firm.
Yep. And so if we're in the client mobile app, I can go ahead and look at the document itself as the client, and I can review the document. If I like everything that I see, then I would first, you could see that there's an approval button. If I want to approve it, I click on approve. But if I want to decline it, it'll actually ask me why I'm declining it. So maybe there's something wrong, like middle name missing or something. I can go ahead and do that. And then the firm owner will go back and get that notification if the document's not approved. So you can create that extra layer if you want to have just confirmation of the information. But in this scenario, we're just going to go ahead and approve it. And now that the document's been approved, I can go back in there, review the document, and then I could just say, begin my signature. I go ahead and do that. I take care of that. And enter the specific field that it's asking me to enter. I'll put president, finish. And now the document has been signed with the specific date. And I'm done with that part of the client responsibility when it comes to signing the document and getting that done.
Well, one thing to add is particularly for IRS documents, if you're U.S. tax preparer, there's something called the KBA, which requires the person to authenticate who they are. So for this example, for the one that Carlos showed, the KBA was turned off, where they could just sign it and that's it. But when you turn on the KBA, when they sign it, you'll ask him a couple of individual personal questions, and then you have to answer those questions in order to be able to electronically sign. So that's just another layer of security, especially if you're dealing with a customer that you don't know for the first year working with them or whatever. You want to go to that KBA. Maybe once you already have all your clients' identification, and then you know it's secure email, all that stuff, you can skip that. But for most tax preparers or tax returns, we recommend turning on the KBA. There's an additional cost to that. I think it's like $1 per signature.
It's $1 per signature.
But it's absolutely needed. It's the best CYA type of tool you can create. Now, out of 100 returns, maybe one for whatever reason can't answer the KBAs because they're weird credit related questions, or you have some international clients that just got a tax ID or it's an ITIN or whatever. You could skip the KBA. So, but for 99% of cases, you will be using KBA.
Yep. Another feature I wanted to call out real quick, Hector, this one came out this year, where a lot of people really like, is the client request feature. So I'm just going to go over it very briefly, but in essence, you can actually make a request for a specific client if you're missing a specific type of information. And if you haven't created a template, you can create a template. So if, let's say, it's missing information, you could just say something like, there you go, missing W-2, and then you could just say file upload. And you can make it simple, is upload your 2023 W-2. And by doing that, you can create reminders. You can make it as a sign-in required or not. If you want to make it easier for them to just immediately upload the request, they can actually get the link if you turn this off from their email notification and immediately upload that document. So by doing that with a client request, it's much simpler and easier to get like an individual type of request from the client. And if we look at the mobile app real quick, I'm just going to show you what that would look like.
I want to add something to the client request while you load the mobile app. So where the client request became really useful for us, it wasn't so much for individual items, it's for a group of items. So for example, we have a client that we didn't know had a rental property. And it wasn't like, upload your rental property information and that's it. Like, it's just not enough, So we have a template for the rental property that is upload the information about the purchase price of the property, upload the information about all the improvements that you did, upload your profit and loss for the property, upload your schedule of this or your schedule of that, your property taxes, your insurance. So you can create templates and basically kits of information or checklists per se, that you can add really quick when something new comes up. I find it in my tax practice, the initial big checklist was easy to deliver, right? So here's a big checklist of everything we're gonna need for our taxes, or everything we need for our monthly bookkeeping, or everything we're gonna need for the cleanup job, everything we're gonna need for auditing your financial statements, whatever it is. Having the initial checklist was always easy. What took a long time is the nuances, the new situations, the things that we weren't expecting, the out of scope things that require us to sit there and send them, oh, okay, since you have this problem, I'm gonna need now this laundry list of new things. So having those things already in a template is just extremely valuable.
So want to also fast forward to a couple of the things in specific when it comes to invoicing and being able to accept payments via TaxDome. So you can individually invoice folks by credit card or debit if you want to use a bank debit, or you can offer both options as a payment method. You can you can set up recurring payments with your clients. You can do it right here as an automatic payment, or you can create a manual payment of invoice. But with their authorization, you can automatically set up recurring, especially for recurring engagements, an invoicing type. Now, what's really nice about this is you can actually combo this with creating a specific type of proposal engagement letter that includes the services and the invoice. And as I mentioned before, you can create specific types of templates that will allow the client to be able to see the specific engagement letter along with the specific services that will be included. If you want to include a custom message that goes with that, if you want to add specific reminders, you can build a template that does this. And you'll notice where it says here, packages are coming soon. Next year, they will be releasing the ability to, instead of just offering one service with one specific type of, price, you can actually create one that would have option 1, option 2, and option 3. So the client will be able to select between 3 different products or 3 different prices, and that's going to be coming very soon. The client can also immediately navigate through the engagement letter. So they can read the engagement letter, they can look at their specific options of products that they want. Right now, it's just a single product. So if you want to make the onboarding and everything easy into one app, you can also send your engagement letters through here. And right now they're partnering with either CPA charge, or you can leverage Stripe in order to accept payments. So you can accept payments through Stripe or CPA charge if you want to go do that for the client. But essentially, you can also manage your invoices as well, recurring invoices, if you have specific time entries that you want to go in through, or work in progress for those who do a lot of hourly billing and your tracking work. Teams that do time tracking can also allocate specific hourly billing into the invoicing and decide to bill it or not to bill it. So if we were to go specifically into the invoicing, I'll show you real quick how you can manage your invoices, and I'll just show you how you can set up specific tax rates if you want to create a specific invoice number so that it's in alignment with your QuickBooks or whatever sequences of your invoicing. You can search and you can look for invoices that are partially paid. Those are unpaid, that are overdue. So you can also manage all your payments and invoicing inside of TaxDome. And there's also one more that a lot of people sometimes will get clients that will pay them a different way. Like, people who kind of pay you via Zelle or something like that. There are these types of payments that are called offline payments, and you can record those type of payments. So if a client wants to pay you via Zelle or a different way, you can actually document it here as well. You're getting paid cash, or they walked into your office and paid you a check or a different way. So if they're not necessarily paying you via the electronic method, you can still keep track and record all of the payments that are happening through here.
There's a specific reason to that. If you're an accounting professional watching this, you're like, well, I keep track of that stuff in QuickBooks. I don't need to have my practice management software and manually enter a payment here and there. Well, remember, when your client goes into the portal, there's a section of the portal that shows all the invoices. And if the client knows that they paid you for an invoice, but they log into the portal and it shows an open invoice, they're going to freak out. They're going to freak out. They're going to make a phone call. They're going to say, it shows I owe you money. They're going to get nervous. So in order for your clients to trust the information that's in the portal, all the information needs to be accurate, including invoice payment. So if the client's paying you cash or paying you with some other way that's not through the Stripe or CPA charge merchant system that's built into TaxDome, which I recommend 1,000,000%. But if they're paying you some other way, they've dropped a check or whatever, record that payment also so their portal shows the correct invoice amount. And then once TaxDome adds the full QuickBooks integration, you'll be able to integrate the QuickBooks invoices and the payments of those invoices to TaxDome as well once you connect QuickBooks into TaxDome.
So one of the other features that recently came out that really enhances the client experience is being able to have what's called a client-facing status. So inside of your pipeline, you can actually add a client-facing status every time it reaches a specific stage of the work itself. So if we're reading an organizer, you can create a custom status for the client. So when they log into the client portal, they can see what's happening. The way that I like to see compare it to, Hector, is like the Domino's pizza tracker. Every step of the way that it's happening, we're currently putting the ingredients together. It's in the oven. It's out for delivery. It's the same concept as when a client is inside of your workflow. They want to know what stage of that workflow they're in. So by me adding this specific automation, when it gets into prep, what I've actually done is I told the system that I want the client to know inside of their portal what's the status, which it should be saying in progress. So when I actually log into the client mobile app, what the client should be able to see is a little message just basically saying that the specific job of that specific service that the client signed up to what the status is. And so the beauty of this is if the client uses the mobile app a lot, if they're working on different things like a monthly bookkeeping or something else to the effect, they can actually see what is the status of that at their home page. Okay, there it is. So now you'll be able to see what my work in progress is. And if I tap on it, you'll see the work is underway. And the title of that pipeline will actually give the client the status. So it's a nice little new way for the client to know what is happening inside of their specific pipeline. And it's another feature that recently came out from TaxDome that, again, just enhancing the client experience so that they are informed along the way throughout the entire process. And what we have found is that our clients have shared via the surveys that, they are looking for real-time, consistent communication. Like over 75% of clients in this one survey have shared that they prefer using a secure portal and also for communication and document exchange. And they value having the ability of getting updated over and over again. And that enhances the experience for you to be able to retain clients for a lot longer. They stick with you more, and it's investing into technology to help you do that is the way to do that. So Hector, I'd love to briefly just go over how to create workflow automation, and then from there we'll talk about what's coming up for 2025, and then we can wrap it up from here. How does that sound?
That's perfect.
So what you see in front of you is a pipeline. You notice that I have plenty of pipelines that you can work from. The nice thing about this is if you go to the templates and you go to pipelines from TaxDome, they provide you with a library of pipelines that you can automatically add to your system. As a matter of fact, TaxDome works all over the world. So you'll see that some of them are actually in different languages. So they're extremely resourceful, and they have a ton of things available to you so that it's easy for you to get access to the tools, the templates, and make it easy for you to implement. The other piece that I want to call out is a new place called the Marketplace, where other TaxDome power users or even consultants like myself, we have specific pipelines out here that are some available for free, or some that if you want to get access to things that are not available through the traditional library, you can pay for. For example, I built one that's called the 5-minute questionnaire. A lot of people like this idea if you're bringing a brand new prospect and you want to ask them 5 quick questions just to get them on board and started with you. It's just an easy way for you to automate and make your process a lot simpler. But you can get a whole lot of value from the existing templates. If I were to go into a bookkeeping workflow, for example, there is the pipeline view, which just gives you the status of what's going on. It's a Kanban style board where you have stages starting from the left. And as the tasks are getting completed and all of the areas that need to be checked off are coming along in the job, this little thing called the job card moves from left to right. And once it's fully complete, the job is completed for that specific time period. So in this scenario, if I'm working on the bookkeeping close for the month of November, then I would actually make sure that the name of this would be called my November 2024 bookkeeping. And if I were to be done with this, then I would essentially want to archive the job, right? I don't want to see it in my pipeline anymore. And if I want to bring it back, you have menus in which you can manage your tasks that are assigned to the jobs and the jobs that are inside of the pipeline. And you can bring back anything that is archived and turn them back on if you wanted to. So the nice way, although it looks like it's a lot to manage, but once you get acquainted with learning how to manage pipelines and how to build them, what's really nice is that you can have all of your clients inside of here, and you have a bird's eye view of knowing where they're sitting at all times so that you can properly follow up with your team members and with your clients and have control of how to prioritize your time and prioritize your day. The beauty of this is you can also build automations along the way. So when it arrives at a specific stage, you can fire out specific automations where it could be an email, it could be a secure message, it could be an organizer, any of these features that we have modeled for you. And only when a task gets completed or document gets signed, an organizer gets submitted, an engagement letter gets signed. Only when an action gets completed can this automatically move to the next stage for you. So it's actually working for you while you're taking care of other high value tasks inside of your firm. So that's the beauty of workflow automation. We won't walk you through how to build a pipeline per se, but I'll take you to the edit menu just briefly so that you understand the mechanics of how you would essentially build automations. In every stage, you can see here all the automations that are designed. And if I wanted to edit and add new automations, I would simply go into this editing menu, and where it says add automations, I can choose to do any of these type of features that would be an automation, which could be sending an invoice, updating an account tag, creating an organizer, sending a client request, create a firm task, which would be assigned to an employee or a contractor inside of your firm, sending a proposal to the client, sending an email, and sending a message through the secure portal, and among all of these other features that you could do for workflow automation. But the nice thing about this is that not only is it amazing from a client-facing client portal, it's easy for them to do business with you, but you can really dive deep and go really in detail in designing all your processes, all of your operating procedures. If you build them out with true intentionality, you can essentially automate almost all of your processes in your firm leveraging TaxDome.
Carlos, then it's safe to say that this is what you do for a living, basically helping people set up workflow automations and configure the TaxDome to work for them, right? Like this is why you're doing this video. This is why you do what you do. Is firms contact you to say, you know what, I love this. I'm gonna get TaxDome, but I need someone to like kind of help me wrap my head around what are my processes, what are my goals, and what does that look like in the software? Because even though the software is really easy to use, in my opinion, and anyone could figure how to do this on their own. Sometimes having an oracle, someone that kind of like has seen everything, has kind of has a general idea for how other firms have done it in the past. Someone like you that can come in and say, you know what, I've seen this work this way, that way, and I think that if you go this route or go that route, or based on what you tell me, this is probably the best way to approach it. So I think that's the value of having a TaxDome consultant help you alongside of that. Now, TaxDome has also support, and they in a limited way they kind of help you also create. Like if you ask them, how do I create a workflow, they'll walk you through it, but they won't give you any insight about how other firms do it, which is like the valuable part of working with someone like you.
Yes. And the way that I see it in my experience, what I have found is that firm owners typically want to hire a consultant because they just don't have the capacity to, or have the learning curve to learn an entire new software and all the mechanics, because it does require a lot of time and a little bit of a learning curve. And so having someone guide you is in essence the fast pass to learning exactly where to click without being nervous about doing the wrong thing. Because when you're introducing a brand new portal and a new process and a new system to a client, you don't want to roll it out the wrong way because it puts at risk the client experience, your reputation, and your brand. So being able to have someone help you sort of think through not just how to do the mechanics of how the features work, setting up the workflows, but also what is your rollout strategy going to look like? And because I've had the pleasure and the ability to implement firms like yours, Hector, among a handful of others, I've gained a lot of knowledge and best practices in how to specifically apply a lot of these customized type of experiences using this technology so that it works for the practitioner. TaxDome is great at features and benefits and how the features work, but sometimes they miss the context of how to operate it from the eyes of a practitioner, right? Specifically when it comes to rollout, client communication, business strategies. So that's one of the advantages. The other thing is that if you have a champion inside of your firm that is willing to have the capacity to learn and try to figure out how this whole works, there's a lot of great resources like the TaxDome Academy, the Help Center. There's a lot of videos that you can have that individual watch to learn. It took me about 4 months to master this. So if you do have the time, 4 months to get really, really acquainted with everything, the ins and outs, go for it. But if you don't, and you want someone that can help you fast track this, I'm happy to help with the implementation. The last thing I want to share before we do close, Hector, is probably the most exciting thing that TaxDome has coming in the roadmap for 2025, which is going to be a full GL integration. What that means is for those who are bookkeeping practitioners that are looking to essentially be able to do two-way sync with your QuickBooks and see specific transactions at TaxDome. As you can see, this is a screenshot because this is not live. This is currently under beta. But what I have been told from the TaxDome leadership is that they're looking to roll this out by mid next year at latest, by the end of Q2 at latest, which will allow you to grab actual bank transactions, and you can interact with clients inside of the portal by doing what's called an ask client. So this is going to save you a lot of time and give you the ability as a bookkeeping service provider to keep better track of how to help clients categorize their transactions. It's definitely something they're excited about as a game changer. It's an ability for you to manage transactions, and you can actually communicate with the client directly through the portal on specific transactions. So it's less clicks for you, easier for you to manage. You can actually see what the communication with the client would look like here. And so that's an exciting new feature rollout that will be coming out soon that folks that offer bookkeeping services should be very, very excited about. So that's not going to be at any extra cost to TaxDome users, which is a huge game changer. So that's one of the last things that I want to share with you, Hector. To close off, any final thoughts for the good of the group who's watching this video?
No, that's it. I'm particularly excited about these new features coming out that integrate with your GL, because especially for bookkeepers, for folks doing accounting work, monthly accounting work, it's going to be a huge game changer, not just managing the workflow, but also being able to do some of the actual work inside of your same workflow software is going to be an absolute game changer. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.